My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we're going to talk about Bill Cosby. I spoke to Bill Cosby yesterday, and I also talked to his representative, Andrew Wyatt, and I want to kind of break something down for you. I'm going to literally do a little bit of a deep dive analysis, and I'm going to explain to you in my own way how the media and people like Gloria Allred plant evidence against people like Bill Cosby. And I'm going to explain that to you now. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and if you are not Black and intelligent, you may want to get out. I'm going to offend you because we believe in deep dives. We believe in critical thinking. We believe in processing things in a certain way. Now, the king comes in and says this is another conspiracy theory, and I love the fact that we start off with that comment because I want to break this down. I want to explain to you that you're 100% correct. If you think that there's a conspiracy, I believe that there is, but the conspiracy is not what you think. The Bill Cosby case has been something that a lot of us have been talking about. You guys came in here yesterday and you saw that his representative, Andrew Wyatt, came in on drboycetv.com yesterday, and he did a really strong interview in terms of really explaining a lot of things that were going on. Now, obviously, this is their point of view. This is their perspective, right? And I acknowledge that. And the first thing I want to acknowledge is as I break this thing down with you when it comes to Cosby is I want to acknowledge that not everybody agrees that Cosby's innocent and not everybody believes he's guilty. Some people believe he's not innocent and not guilty, right? He's right there in the middle. I think that that's probably most people. I think most people are in that category where they say Cosby's not innocent. He's not guilty. He's not innocent and he's not guilty. So he's not a guilty man, right? He's not a completely innocent man. He's in that hybrid zone. And in that hybrid zone, you're supposed to be protected by the law. The hybrid zone is where we don't know if you're 100% innocent, but we definitely have reason to doubt whether you are guilty. Some people can understand this. For some people, it goes over their head. Some people can't process this, but I do want to acknowledge that I completely understand those of you who disagree on the Cosby thing. Some of you think that my point of view is stupid, and I acknowledge that. That's totally fine to think that. We believe in freedom of speech here, but I'm going to break some stuff down for you that I hope will help you kind of think this through. I like processing things, breaking them down and kind of slicing them into little pieces so we can really understand what's going on. Now, do me a favor. First of all, on Instagram, I want to say hi to everybody on Instagram. If you want to see, if I put anything on the screen, you want to see it, you can go to drboycetv.com. Also, please hit the thumbs up button, And I want to remind everybody on this platform, we are what is called B1. B1 means we put our community at the top of the priority list. B1 means that we solve our own problems in our own community. B1 means we believe that Black people can educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. If you agree with that philosophy, put a hashtag B in the number 1 in the chat. Use that on Twitter, Instagram, everything else. All right, so I mean, hit the thumbs up button. Please do that right now. So here's what I want to kind of break down for you. And I was talking about this with my wife, Alicia. My wife is a full professor of social work. I've mentioned that to you guys before. So we're in a weird zone. We're a couple of nerds. I didn't meet her in the club. I met her in the library, and she was studying. I was studying, and that's how you meet smart women. You meet them in the library. You don't meet them in the club. Don't get me wrong. Ain't no wrong with club women or whatever. No disrespect. But that girl who's in the library was the woman for me. And so we analyze stuff. And last night, I got a call from Bill Cosby, and I talked to him for a couple minutes. It was a pleasant conversation. We both appreciate smart Black women, and that, his wife Camille is one of the classiest, most intelligent women around. My wife, I think, is very classy, very intelligent, also. And we just chopped it up for a second. It wasn't anything deep, but we did talk for a minute. And I started thinking today about all of this, right? Thinking about just this whole environment of accusations and everything else. And here's what I want to try to help you understand. I want you to try to understand this concept here. Now, I'm a poker player. And poker is a fun game. Poker is a great game of psychology, strategy, and math. I don't like to gamble, but I love to play poker just for sport. I played in tournaments with 1,000 people, and I got first place literally out of 1,000 people before. So I'm really good at poker, and poker requires you to be able to really, it's like chess. You have to be able to see moves way ahead before they make the move, and you have to be able to send and receive information and all that. Well, there's a concept in poker. Some of your poker players in here might shout yourselves out if you also play. You'll know of a concept called a semi-bluff. A semi-bluff is not like a bluff. Most of y'all know what it means when I say somebody's bluffing. Oh, he's bluffing, right? Or we're going to call this bluff. You know what that means, right? Bluffing typically means, that I ain't really got nothing, but I'm going to make you think I got something, right? I don't have anything that I can get you with, but I'm going to intimidate you into thinking I have something. And then I hope you don't call my bluff, right? Well, in poker, there's something also called a semi-bluff. A semi-bluff is where you actually have something. You actually have a hand that's pretty good, but you don't want your hand to get tested. You don't want anybody to really test your gangster, so to speak. Like Tekashi 6ix9ine says, test my gangster, right? You would say, okay, I could probably beat you with this hand, but I don't really want to even find out if I can beat you. I'd rather just make you think my hand is stronger than what it is, right? So really my hand is a level 7, but I want you to think it's a level 12 because I want to scare the hell out of you so that you'll fold. You will back away and walk away and give in because you think I have more than what I actually do. Do you follow what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying. Okay. Now, why am I bringing up the concept of a semi-bluff? Well, I think about this whole situation with Cosby. And I thought about people like Gloria Allred. She's kind of like the white female version of Al Sharpton. She gathers women who accuse men of things, and she makes money by holding press conferences and collecting buckets of Becky tears to get people to pay up money. And basically what she does is she does something similar to a semi-bluff. She'll come in and maybe there is some reason to suspect that this person might have done something wrong, right? Maybe there is one legitimate accuser who could stand up to the test of scrutiny or whatever. So in the Cosby case, maybe there are a couple of women there whose stories are really sound. Maybe they almost had evidence, but whatever, right? And again, I don't know this one way or the other. But then what she does, the semi-bluff comes into play when you say this. You say, okay, we got a couple of good ones in here that we really think could go into court. They don't have anything sketchy in their track record. They're not drug addicts. They're not, they haven't lied in the court of law before. But that's not enough. That's not enough because there was no police report filed. There's no physical evidence, right? You need evidence to win a lawsuit, right? Well, Gloria Allred doesn't have to win lawsuits because she goes to a better court, a more lenient court. And that is the court of public opinion. Right. So in the court of public opinion, evidence is not the same. You don't have the same standard as you have in the court of law. Right. So what she does is she does a semi-bluff. She'll say, OK, what we're going to do is this. We want to get Bill Cosby. And it's not, and it ain't, everybody makes it all about like, oh, we're doing this. People are like, oh, we're doing this because we care about the women and all this other stuff. And really, let's just keep it 100. Gloria Allred is all about them dollar bills. And I'm going to actually give you evidence on that in a minute. Her daughter, Lisa Bloom, does the same thing. She kind of does the whole shakedown situation or whatever. So Gloria Allred is thinking, how do I get, this is my process. This is my perception of what I'm saying. She's saying, okay, how do I get a win in the court of public opinion? Because I don't have to go to trial. If I bluff hard enough, I can get my money without actually having to go into the courtroom and prove anything where I literally have nothing. So what she does is she says, let's do a semi-bluff. Let's take these two people here that maybe have pretty sound accusations, and we're going to send out, we're going to put out an ad. And we're going to put out an ad and say, if you have ever slept with Bill Cosby and he did something wrong to you, then call us up because you can be part of this $100 million lawsuit. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get where I'm going with this? Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. I'm speaking slowly because I want to make sure everybody understands the build here, the build out of the logic here, right? So you send out an ad and you send out an ad to Hollywood, and you're reaching out to all the desperate actresses who don't have any money. You're reaching out to all the drug addicts who want to get another hit. You're reaching out to every person with any kind of sketchy background, and you're saying, just put your name on the lawsuit because you're going to strengthen our case in the court of public opinion. And what does that do? Well, that gives her number one trump card. Her trump card is not any form of physical evidence. I haven't seen anything. Give me a yes or no if you've seen any physical evidence at all to say that Cosby's guilty. Have you seen anything that you think would stand up in the court of law in terms of real evidence to say Cosby did anything wrong? I haven't seen that, right? I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm saying I haven't seen that, right? So you don't have any of that. But what you do have, your number one trump card is the volume of accusations. This is where I'm going. You see, do you understand where I'm going with this? It's the volume. In fact, let me show you a CNN image that the CNN put up right after Cosby got released. And it's interesting. I think the poor guy, I think he knows who his friends are, right? And it's got to be just terrible to have all these people in universities, Howard or whatever, that you've given millions of dollars to, who literally don't want anything to do with you and who are scared and everything else. But let me show you all a picture. Now this is not, I don't know if CNN used this image or not, but they use something similar to this, kind of a composite, where they showed the images of all these women's faces on TV at one time, right? That looks pretty damning, right? That's a big, scary picture. There are lots and lots of women in this picture. In this particular one, there's about 20 or 30 or something like that, right? And so that's their trump card. That's all they have. Like, that's their number one weapon against Cosby, is the number of accusers. Okay, fine. That's what you want to go with. Let's do it. Okay. So I want to ask this question, though. Was there a standard that had to be met in order for an accuser to be added to that list? Like, what was the standard? How much of a background? Like, if you go into the CIA or the FBI to get a job, they're going to do a thorough background check on you to make sure that you're not a spy, you're not a liar, you're not in deep in gambling debts, you're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize the agency. So I'd be wondering, do they do the same thing? Does Gloria Allred, do you think, give me a yes or no, do you think that they take the time to say, okay, we need to really understand your whole story. We need to find out, are you a drug addict? Are you a person who's been known to lie? What is your relationship with Cosby? How well do you know the man? Did you, what were you doing after this alleged incident happened? Is there any standard? Have you seen anything in media? Because remember, the white folks kind of work together. They tag team, right? When it comes to lynching a black man, they work together on that, right? That's a team sport, by the way. And so was there any standard? Now, again, I'm not disagreeing. I don't have a problem with any of you if you think that I'm wrong. If you think that Cosby's guilty, that's okay to think that. This is a free thinking space. I'm not going to at all beat you up for your point of view. I just want you to understand the difference between what you think happened and what you can actually prove happened, and what civil rights actually mean. Right. The one thing that's disturbing about the Cosby case is how you have certain civil rights activists, people who call themselves civil rights activists, maybe say like a Mark Lamar Hill, who are openly advocating for the violation of the civil rights of a black man. Right. Everybody has civil rights, including killers and thugs and gangsters, and they all get civil rights. So what is it that makes us feel that it's okay to strip the civil rights of a black man? Well, it's probably because he's a black man. Right. This is not new. This is a historical concept. This is something that's been done for a long time. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And I want to remind you guys that there's an audio version of my podcast on Spotify. You can go to the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, also on Apple. It's on Apple as well. Or you can go to the drboycebreakdown.com. You can check it out. And tonight we're going to do my book club. I can't even talk. My book club is going to meet, and we're going to actually cover Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. So we're going to start reading that together, and I'm going to break this down and analyze this in class. So if you want to join, it's free. You don't have to pay anything to join. Go to blackkeystogreatness.com. We start tonight at 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I think that's, let me double check. Let me make sure. I think it's 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll check that before we get out of here. All right. So, I'm sorry. It's 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. My bad. Sorry about that. Okay. So you got Gloria Allred. Let's start a little bit from the beginning. Gloria Allred is looking for a way to win a case and get money. That's what lawyers do, right? So she doesn't have evidence, right? Because if she had evidence, she could go to court, win a lawsuit, and boom, it's over, right? But she doesn't want to do that, right? She wants a lower standard. She wants to be in the court of public opinion. That's one of the reasons why on Bill Cosby's Instagram page, they specifically told Gloria Allred, we are not going to fight this on the courthouse steps. We're not going to fight you in the media. We are going to fight you in the court of law, where there's a judge, where there's fairness, where people have rights, right? Why did they say that? Why do you think they said that? They said that because they understand the game. They understand the game Gloria's playing, and Gloria probably understands the game they're playing, right? They're all playing games together. That's what it is. So given that Gloria needs a semi-bluff in order to bluff Cosby into writing this big check, she takes maybe a couple of valid accusations and mixes them in with a bunch of people that haven't been properly vetted. Anybody who's desperate for money that wants to put their name on the lawsuit can do that, right? And I have not seen, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no on this. Have you seen anybody in mainstream media do any sort of in-depth analysis on the nature of the accusers and whether or not all the accusations or all the accusers have valid accusations? Has anybody in mainstream media asked, why, what was going on? What about police reports? What about some sort of something physical? What about anything? Is there anything we can hold on to? Because remember, you're about to send an 80-something-year-old man off to die in jail. Like you're going to send him away to die, basically. Have you seen anything in mainstream media that's held any of that up to scrutiny? No, you haven't. Well, where does that come from? A lot of that comes from white supremacy, particularly white female supremacy. And why do I call it white female supremacy? Well, it's because basically one aspect of white female supremacy in America is that there are certain groups of people who are beyond scrutiny. There are certain groups of people who are beyond accountability. There are certain groups of people where you're not allowed to ask them questions. You're not allowed. If you ask them a question, then they put on the victim hat and they say you're victim blaming, victim shaming. Y'all have heard all these terms, right? Well, the problem with that sort of language is that in an accusation like this, that's so serious and so damning, where a person's life is on the line, you don't even know who the victim is. I mean, if I really want to victimize somebody, then the first thing I do is I would pretend to be the victim when I might actually be the perpetrator. Right. That's what. So you're not even vetting for this. Right. So everything that's being done so far is very, very flimsy. And I want to ask you guys a serious question. This is a question that critics don't want to answer. Anybody who thinks that, who wants to just send Cosby off to die cannot answer this question. Here's my question for you. All right. You ready? You ready? Here it is. Give me a yes or no. Can you name any time in the history of this country where a white woman or several white women have been sent to die in prison with no physical evidence whatsoever that they committed the crime? Hey, can you think of any example where a white female in the history of America has ever been sent to die in prison anytime in the last 100 years in modern court systems? I think somebody mentioned the Salem witch trial, right? That's there you go. That's 1 point for you. But anything other than the Salem witch trials, which we know was a huge injustice, right? We don't count witch trials. We don't burn people at the cross because we think they're witches, right? Can you name any example, right? And so if you can't think of a single example where a white woman has ever been sent to die in prison when there was no physical evidence of her committing a crime, why are you so quick to think it's okay to do that to a black man? I mean, really, why? Think about this. Because you got a whole lot of black folks that are white supremacists. They think that it's okay. Like, this is a special punishment. This is a special punishment designed specifically for the black man, because there's nobody. I don't think there's ever been a white male that I know of. Maybe in the sexual assault situation, perhaps, or something like that. But I can't think of a single white woman where that's ever happened to. So if you can't imagine that happening to a white woman, why is it so easy to imagine that happening to a black man? Another question I'll ask you. Can you think of, give me a yes or no to this. Everybody answer this question. I like to ask yes or no questions. Like I'm like E40, nope. Yep. Here's a question. Can you think of any time in American history where a white woman was sent to die in prison because she allegedly grabbed somebody's genitals? Because remember, Bill Cosby went to prison because they claimed that Andrea Constand, that lady with the big old Adam's apple. I don't know what's going on with that. I ain't judging. But that lady, Andrea Constand, claimed that Cosby touched her boob, right? So, and she got $3 million for that, right? $3 million for a boob touch. Just so y'all know, in case anybody's offering, you can touch anything on this big luscious body if you're going to pay. If you pay $3 million, get to grabbing. You can grab it. Just don't be poking nothing inside. Don't be poking. But you can grab. Anybody can grab. If you got $3 million, you can grab me right now. And my woman will be the first person to agree that that's okay. Baby, you go get that money. That's what she would tell me. So she got $3 million for him touching her breast. and then he was sent off to die in prison. He was sent to a level 5 maximum security prison. Bill Cosby's representative was on here yesterday. You can go check out the interview. He was very revealing. He talked for about an hour and 15 minutes. Go to drboycetv.com if you want to watch the interview. And so he was in a level 5 maximum security prison with crazy young dudes who would kill you on the spot. And he's 83 years old and damn near blind. So can you think of any time in American history where a white woman has been sent to die in a maximum security prison because she allegedly touched somebody's genitals? Yes or no? Yes or no? Right. Exactly. The answer is no. So what is my point? My point is to say, again, this is a clear example of white female supremacy. There's nobody protected more in America than the white female. So Gloria Allred knows this. Gloria Allred knows that nobody's going to test her on her BS. Gloria Allred knows that she has the privilege of being able to pretend to be the victim. She can show up with some flimsy accusations or flimsy accusers with flimsy backgrounds and a bucket of Becky tears and get somebody to write $100 million check. That's her hustle. That's the shakedown. Right. It doesn't mean that there's nothing valid about it. Doesn't mean that women don't get mistreated and disrespected and oppressed. And, terrible things happen to people. We know these things. We know this. Right. So I'm not denying any of that. But she makes this money by basically taking advantage of the fact that the white woman is protected more than anyone else in America. And there's no easier target than the black male. There's no other group of people on this planet where you can show up with no physical evidence and a bucket of Becky tears and get a check for $100 million. This is why the black male, you got to warn your sons, the black male who has money in his pocket is an endangered species. The minute your son grows up and becomes a millionaire entrepreneur or a very wealthy CEO or whatever you want him to become, that professional athlete with a $100 million contract, he is going to be a target. He needs to be well trained to protect himself from that victimhood that somebody's going to try to impose on him at some point. Right? The NFL players get trained on it. Some of them listen, some of them don't. Right? So here's the other thing. In terms of digging in deeper on this, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I literally thought about this when I was at the pool with my 10-year-old, and I was talking to my wife about it. And the other thing that crossed my mind was, when you talk about evidence, what is evidence, right? So I looked up the word evidence, and the definition of evidence is this. It is the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. An available body of facts or information. So what would be the facts and information that a Gloria Allred has? The facts and information it appears she's using is the number of accusers. Like, look at all the people accusing him. And with all these accusations, there's no way that this could be false, right? And that's the evidence that she has. And that evidence doesn't work in the court of law. That evidence works in the court of public opinion, right? And that's where she's trying to try the case so she can get that money from Bill Cosby. And remember, though, she's doing a semi-bluff most likely because many of these accusers haven't been properly vetted. It's just I need you here to add to the numbers, because if I think that there's something here, if I think that he might have done something wrong, if I think that maybe on some wild drunken night something crazy happened, I can think that, but I need something that's gonna move the crowd. And what moves the crowd is having volume of accusers and you can increase the volume if you have no standard for what it means to be in that group of accusers. So here's the other thing. Here's another little piece I want to dig into to kind of help you understand the nature of how a Gloria Allred thinks and kind of the game that's being played here. Gloria Allred has a daughter by the name of Lisa Bloom. Has anybody heard of Lisa Bloom? Bloom. Lisa Bloom. Lisa Bloom is a lady who works, who does exactly what her mother does. She basically, engages in this same sort of game. You get a bunch of accusers, a bucket of Becky tears, and then you make some accusations and people pay you money to make it go away. Right. So Lisa Bloom, she got kind of busted. She got busted really badly by the New York Times because what Lisa Bloom did was something that was really surprising to me. She wrote a memo to Harvey Weinstein. Anybody remember that? Did anybody hear about that? So Lisa Bloom wrote this memo to Harvey Weinstein. Let me tell you what she said in the memo. And this is relevant information in terms of getting inside the mindset of a Lisa Bloom or of a Gloria Allred in terms of what their playbook looks like. So here's the part that I have in front of me. It says, This is actually from an article, and it looks like from USA Today, perhaps, something like that. It says, Allred's daughter, the lawyer Lisa Bloom, a prominent victims' rights attorney, was working behind the scenes with Harvey Weinstein at a rate of $895 an hour to squash the journalist's investigations and thwart his accusers. In a confidential memo to Mr. Weinstein that Ms. Bloom wrote December 2016, which is reproduced in She Said, she offered to help him damage the reputation of one of his accusers, Rose McGowan, and portrayed her background as a victim's rights advocate as an asset, right? So she says, quote, I feel equipped to help you against the Roses of the world because I have represented so many of them. And then she said, she laid out a playbook on how she could paint and intimidate the accusers as liars. So one of Miss Bloom's suggested tactics for undermining Mrs. McGowan, we can place an article on her becoming increasingly unglued so that when someone Googles her, this is what pops up and she's discredited. Now, I want to ask you this question. So this is what Lisa Bloom, the daughter of Gloria Allred, was telling Harvey Weinstein she could do. She said, and I remember reading the memo. I got to find the specific memo, but I could have sworn I read parts where she said that for a lot of the women that are accusing the men, if you ask them lots of questions, they break down under questioning. That's why they keep them out of the court of law, so they don't have to go under oath in many cases. And also that's why they will immediately, if you ask a question, they will immediately attack you as somebody who's victim blaming, right? Because they don't want them to answer questions, right? You don't want somebody with a flimsy story or a story that's constantly changed, or somebody who's engaged in questionable behavior to have to explain that behavior, right? And so the interesting thing here too about that Lisa Bloom memo, which I really appreciate that memo because she gave us the game in terms of how she and her mother think when they're going after wealthy men, particularly black men. Black men are the easy targets, is that she mentioned the idea of planting stories to give an image that the lady was crazy, right? So this goes back to the theme, as I was mentioning to you before. These people plant things. They plant evidence. She said it in the memo. She said, we can plant stories. Well, with Cosby, I'm sure they're planting stories, but they're also planting accusers. If they can plant stories, what makes you think they wouldn't plant accusers as well? They can control that, right? So what I am really laying out here is this. Evidence, the definition of evidence changes when you talk about the court of law versus the court of public opinion. In the court of law, evidence has a much higher standard than it does in the court of public opinion. So evidence in the court of public opinion can be very flimsy. It doesn't have to meet the judge's approval. Nothing's really done under oath. It's all about making somebody look bad. If you make them look bad enough, then you win. You get that big $100 million check. You get to move on to the next one. So when I say planting evidence, I'm not talking about her putting cocaine in his couch or her putting a gun underneath next to his dead body. When I talk about planting evidence, I'm talking about planting individuals in the lawsuit to allow her to have the ultimate trump card, which is volume, right? Volume, without volume of accusations, then all this goes away. The number one factor that is driving the whole public debate about Cosby and whether or not he's guilty is the number of accusers. Do you follow what I'm saying? That's their number one trump card. If you take away volume, they have nothing. They literally have nothing. They have nothing, right? So how do you give volume? Well, you plant evidence, right? And remember, the court of public opinion, evidence is pretty much, let me read the definition here. The definition of evidence is the availability of a body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. So if you're trying to find a body of facts or information indicating whether the belief that Cosby's guilty is true or valid, if you're trying to find a body of facts and information, what is their body of facts and information? Well, it's stuff like this image I'm showing you guys right now on the screen. Here is the entirety of the body of all their facts and information. It is this montage of an image that CNN and other networks like to use, where they have 100 different accusers on here, and their basic argument is really simple. It is how, with all these accusers, how can it not be true? There's got to be some truth because look at all these accusers. And I'm not in any way demeaning, what might happen to people in terms of, various situations. I'm not here to even say that you should agree with me on any of this. I hope that you'll at least hear me because I'm here to also hear you, even if you disagree. But I want to ask you a question. When I show you this image of all these women, and this whole big bucket of Becky tears, what do you really know about each of these people in this picture? What do you know? I mean, it would seem to me that if your goal is to be fair and your goal is to be honest and your goal is to really find the truth, then you would take as much time looking into each accuser as you spend looking into the accused. I don't know if people think that's crazy. Maybe because he's a black man, people think it's okay to ignore all that. But I think at the end of the day, that's what you're dealing with. So I believe evidence, again, using the flimsy definition of evidence, the court of public opinion evidence was planted in this case. I believe that they were letting people in, anybody off the street. I'm sure I could have sent some lady there, it said, hey, go get some of that Bill Cosby money and get your name on this lawsuit. Just make up a good story. Remember, you're talking about LA. They're all actresses. They all know how to cry on demand. They all know how to make up stories. They're all very creative people. So you can't tell me for 1 second that there weren't people in there who say, yeah, I met Bill Cosby. I slept with him. I'll say whatever to get some money because he ain't paying me no more. So I might as well get my name on the list too. So that's it. That's my 2 cents on the issue. And that's something I really wanted to share with you guys. And I appreciate you hearing me. Even if you disagree, I appreciate you hearing me. And I hope you'll consider some of what I'm saying. Now, let me tell you guys about something we have going on. Don't forget, tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to start going through Black Labor, White Wealth. We have a book club. It's at blackkeystogreatness.com. It's totally free. You can sign up at that URL, blackkeystogreatness.com. And then also on July 22nd, we're going to watch a great movie. Speaking of Hollywood, there's a Hollywood director by the name of Tierra KJ Williams who made a movie for us. We've been working on this film for a year and a half, and it's called Happily Ever After. And it's a 6-part film, so it's going to be a 6-week process. And basically, it's we spoke to she did some beautiful footage with black couples that have been together 20 or 30 years, and they basically talk about the ups and downs in terms of how they made it, how they made their marriage work, how they made their love work. The reason we made this film is because we believe fundamentally that strong families are critical for building wealth in the black community. We also believe that black men need black women need black men. We don't want anybody to tell you any different. So Happily Ever After is all about that. It's all about black love. And we're bringing in Tierra. We're going to bring in one of the couples and maybe even a relationship therapist. My wife is a relationship therapist, and we can come in and actually make sure that by the time you're done, you'll understand how to have healthy relationships, no matter what you're trying to do. So the film, I know people release their films and they have screenings and it costs money. Well, this is free. You don't have to pay a nickel at all. Just go to blackmovienight.net, and that's where you can register. That's blackmovienight.net. It costs you nothing to watch this movie. We made it for you. It did cost us some money to make it, but you don't have to spend any money to see it because we really want the community to see this film. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for your donation. Roland says she was trying to slaughter his image in the court of public opinion, a classic setup for mob justice, basically lynching. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I think that these sorts of lynchings, this kangaroo court sort of approach to making accusations, very serious accusations that can cause a man to go die in prison. I think people have to call that out. I think we've got to talk about that because what it does is it becomes an easy shakedown for people. And I'm not, I'm not with any of that. I think that the unshakable people in this country need to speak up against people that are doing shakedowns to say, no, you have a standard you must meet. You cannot violate anybody's civil rights. It doesn't matter if you think that they did it or not, or whatever, or you're trying to get your money. You've got to meet a standard. What is the standard? That's the question I ask about Bill Cosby's case or anything else. And I don't think any standard was met, at least not one that I'm bound to respect. So anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button before you go. Please do that. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. God bless you. And I love you. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.